All right, I'd say that's a good enough time to start this next the next part. Oh my god, I can't believe it's been so long. I don't even remember when I specifically uploaded or even streamed the last part of this series, just because life is busy and gets very hectic. But we're back, and that's what counts. It's good to be back. Ranking every Mario Party board in the series, best to worst, in their own respective titles, not comparative to each other. So if you see a game that's at the top of the list, or at the top of a category that you think shouldn't be there, it's probably not there in my heart. It just belongs in that tier, and that's about all we care about to see. Now, little reminder on how this works, because it's been a hot minute. I've been going through every game individually, ranking the boards. Originally, I started ranking the boards, trying to base them as critically as possible based on the mechanics of said game, which is still, like, I keep that in mind when ranking the boards. But there is a general, like, there's more that you can do, like, comparing them all together, even between the differences of the games. And I think that when a game's mechanics are weaker overall, you have a strong idea of, like, that it's compelled in the boards as well, right? So you have to take into account that because the games are designed differently from each other, that you are going to have some negative feelings towards certain boards or some positive feelings towards certain boards because of those mechanics. We don't live in a world where those games, where all these boards exist in every game with all the different mechanics available. So we just kind of do our best and run through with what we got. And that's the best that I can do, you know? However, so far, I feel pretty good about the list. I feel pretty solid about most of this. If anything, I might bring some boards down. There's a couple boards I'm looking at. I'm like, yeah, I would bring that down. And these are the two that I would probably bring down. And it's actually from our most recent outing. Undersea Dream and Future Dream. Honestly, don't have nearly as much as I'd be wanting to in a board. They are the classic that's a board, I think. More so in my mind. I've had time to think. I've had time to relay with the Mario Party Speedrunners Marathon, which if you haven't seen before, make sure to check them out when they pop up, because there's definitely going to be there'll be more of them in the future. And I'll be interested to see what the crew thinks, what everyone thinks once this is done. I do plan on making a edited video of my board ranking, if not just like the top 10, bottom 10 like boards, because there's only so much you can say like in certain categories. Like, you know, that's a board category can really just be like, yeah, Undersea Dream, Future Dream, Toy Dream, Rainbow Dream. They're all just, they exist, and that's fine. Goomba's Greedy Gala, like, I could make a couple of exceptions, but overall, So it might end up being like a top 10, bottom 10 kind of video. Here's the 10 best. Here's the 10 worst. Like, really just exemplifies what makes Mario Party Mario Party in my eyes. At least for me, you know? But who's the big expert here? Obviously me. So, with all that said, all that being out of the way, we got one of the most anticipated games for me, at least, so far. And that's because this is one of my favorite Mario Party games to play casually. Absolutely. If there's a game of Mario Party I wish I could play constantly with people, this is right up there. It's like my preference really switches between Mario Party 3 and this game, because it really depends on the mood that I'm in. But Mario Party 6 does a damn good job fighting for that top spot, I will say. But with that being said, how are the boards? How's the game itself? How's it compared to 5, building off of its, foundation? And then what does it have out that 7 has that it doesn't? We'll get into more of the 7 discrepancies when we get to 7. But today, at least, Mario Party 6, I'm really excited to go into this one. I'm pretty pumped. This one I'm pretty excited for. So we're going to go bit by bit here. And thankfully, we got our notes here. We have... Now, if there's any Mario Party game that I know the boards very well, and like that not being like 1 or 3, it's 6. 6 is definitely up there as one of my most knowledgeable games, period. Which is good. It means I have a good idea of what to expect here and how we should probably rank these boards. And this is actually a smaller list. We actually only have 6 boards to worry about. I believe 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yep, only 6 boards. We only have 6 boards in this game. Smaller affair, smaller affair. So let's kind of see what we're working with here. So our very first board of the series, we are looking at Towering Treetop. This is our basic board of Mario Party 6. Now, just like every other ranking video, we have to go over like what makes Mario Party 6 Mario Party 6. And honestly, it's very similar to 5, but I find that this takes 5's attributes and like all its good ones and cranks them up, and all the bad ones and just washes them away, which is perfect. That's what we needed, baby. So here's what's changed. Number 1, the capsule system has had a bit of a overview. It's been gone over once again with a fine tooth comb. It's been gone over is what it's done. And now that it's gone over, we have a much better crafted item system to deal with. Very much more similar to what you would expect somewhat in, the original Mario Party games, like on the N64. But still with that capsule flair that makes that capsule system exactly what it is and why we all like it so much. There are no more of the gobble machines anymore. Those are gone. They are replaced now with normal item shops, but not just item shops. We now also have standard orb spaces. You can see them on the map. They're a little hard to see on certain boards, but like this right here, this one right here, there's a few on every board, and usually they're to help like separate different tracks of what you would like, of where you would want to go on the board. But very nice things that will always give you a random free orb. But of course, you can go to, shops on the board. There's usually 1 or 2. Sometimes there's more. I think 2 is usually the max, but we'll see if that stays correct. But yeah, it gives you a lot more control on the orbs that you have. The other change to the orb system now is that you can also pay, you don't have to pay to use the orbs. They're treated more like normal items, like they are in previous games. So like you pay to buy them at the shops. But otherwise, no, you either use it as a standard item or it's an orb that's placed on a space. You don't have to pay for it no matter what. Just how it is. And you can't use stupid orbs on yourself. So you can't like get a Piranha Plant orb, accidentally pay to use it on yourself and lose half of your own coins and they go to the ether. No, that does not happen here. If you can use an orb on yourself, it's meant to be used on yourself. And if you can't, it's because it's supposed to be placed on the board. Pretty fucking straightforward. Now, there is one other addition that the capsules have, is that, actually, there's technically 1.5. This branches off into another part of it. But orbs, when placed down by characters now, are player specific. They aren't group specific. If you remember in Mario Party 5, you could have coin capsules. You have, capsules. You have movement capsules, all that. And those categories still exist. But when you place an orb down in that game, it would affect any player the same. Like if I placed a Piranha Plant orb randomly on the board, even if I step on it, I'm getting affected by it. Tough shit is what it is. But not in this game. If you place down an orb, it is now your space. That is absolutely your space now. And it's represented by character icons on the board now. I don't know if I'm assuming it would have it here. I didn't honestly check the website just to see yet, but maybe they don't have the character icons here. Strange, they don't. Very weird. Well, just trust me that there are indeed character spaces when you place an orb down. Oh, okay, they look... There you go. There they are. So they look like that. So you know exactly, like, who owns the space, but you don't necessarily know what item is there. Mario Party 7 also adopts this. It changes the icons, but it's, you know, same vibe is still there, right? Now, this actually leads. You might also see this one right here. This is the more interesting addition. This is kind of an offset of it. Some items now are roadblock orbs. These are orbs that, like, instead of staying on the space and staying there forever until somebody places another capsule on top of it, these ones are one use only. So, but they are activated when somebody passes them. So there are specific strategies with using orbs that people have to pass through, as well as, you know, the fear of stronger orbs, but they only affect people who land on them. And there's a lot of orbs. A lot of the orbs are returned from the previous game. But you got your standards and a few extra nice ones to really spice up what makes Mario Party 6 Mario Party 6. Big shout out, Sluggish Room, baby. That's your roll slow dice. I believe this is the first instance of a, like, kind of slow shroom. Yeah, I believe this is, like, because it lets you pick your desired roll. And I believe this is the first instance of it in Mario Party. And it's great to see because, man, these are a game changer. You want one of these, like, at all times. Whether you're in first or last place, that's a bang-on great one to have. The Metal Mushroom Orb, and I have to double-check if this is in 5. I don't believe it. Yeah, no, it's not in 5 because the trap system wasn't there in that game. But because we have those item spaces that only activate when you go past them, the Metal Mushroom has the purpose of keeping you safe from any of those effects when you pass by their traps. So really nice. Although it does not work if you land on a space. If you use that and land on an opponent's space, it goes away before it activates. So it only works through the trap ones. Sorry, my finger's bad. All right, anyway. Bullet Bill Orb. Steals 20 coins and you pass an opponent. Pretty straightforward. Pipe. Always good to go over because it does change sometimes in the series what it does. But it switches. It still switches spaces with a random person. Unless you know how to time the wheel. So, you know, time the wheel. Anyway. Wiggler is our magic lamp. Like in the old games. Brings you right to the star. Red orbs. Here you go. So these are the orbs. So red orbs now are specifically about, these are the trap orbs. These are the ones that, like, affect you when you pass them. So it's always important to watch out for things like, you know, Podobo is a nice easy one, typically fairly cheap to get, makes someone lose 10 coins. Most of the time you're not going to buy trap orbs, unless like potentially you'd buy like a Twister or a Thwomp orb because they're very definitive on what they can do. The rest of them, it's like you usually get from orb spaces, but there is reasons to buy different ones at different times. It just depends on what you value at the current point of the game and where you're at. Now, if you want to, I keep breaking in terms of my talking. If you want to go over, like, specifically, like, some interesting ones when it comes to these spaces, like I said, Thwomp and Twister are some of the best ones. Because, like, Twister basically blows somebody to a completely random space on the board. Could be helpful. Sometimes it fucking isn't, which is hilarious. But your best bet is Thwomp. Thwomp is by far the best one because it just stops a player's movement entirely. Like, there's no mushroom's going to help you. Like, there's not much you can do if there's a Thwomp there, right? Again, unless you have a Metal Mushroom Orb, But even then, most people don't use metal mushroom orbs. Most players tend to just avoid them in general, because it's to have to hold on to an item that's specifically like a defensive item to use, but you may not even get like the benefit of, because again, you could use it. Say you have a trap like 5 spaces away. Let's look at the board for a good example of this, right? Say I'm at the beginning of the game, you know, but somebody puts an orb right at the top of the mushrooms here. I'm like, okay, there's a trap there. I don't want to deal with that shit. I got a metal mushroom. Fuck it, I use it. I roll a 3. Oh fuck, metal mushroom got wasted, and now I still am gonna have to deal with the trap. It's inconsistent because you still have to get the roll past the trap. So unless you're like really close to it, you're playing the game. You're playing the gambling game from Game Guy in Mario Party 3, where you're like, oh, can I get to 7 in 2 blocks? Can I be good? Can I make it? Can I go all the way? Because you don't want to overshoot it. You don't want to overshoot it. So, like, I understand it being, like... It's why we don't buy them. You might get one and hold on to it, because if you get one for free from one of the item spaces, sure. It might come in handy, and then, you know, if you end up getting another orb to replace it, it's probably going to be the first thing that gets replaced in a person's like, arsenal. But for things like Thwomp and Twister, especially, or even Zap Orb is, like, really good. If somebody rolled, like, a triple dice... and they happen to pass by a Zap Orb, oh fuck, that's 5 coins per space in this game. I think in 7, I don't know if they change it in 7. Let's see. It serves the same as opponent, only lose 3 coins. Yeah, so it's nerfed a little bit in 7. In 6, this thing is a bastard. Is an absolute bastard. I would definitely recommend, if you want to be a dick, if you hate your friends and want them to hate you, buy these orbs. Buy that orb. These things are menaces. It's so strong. And again, like, it's costly. 15 coins is still costly. It's the most expensive orb in this list. But, like, again, if somebody rolls like 3, anything higher, like a 3 and above, it hurts. It hurts them. And if you got excess money, why not be a bully? Why not? Might as well. But that's basically it for trap orbs. That's it for trap orbs. And again, yellow orbs, fairly similar to they were in the last game, although now they're more classified now as orbs that affect a player who lands on the space. So this is both for like orb spaces and for coin spaces, right? It kind of mixed them together. So having like your 3 standard like coin ones, like Spiny, Goomba, Piranha Plant. Goomba and Piranha Plant are great. Spiny, if you get one from a space, go ahead and put it down. But I don't recommend buying Spiny orbs. If you see Goomba or Piranha Plant, great buys, especially if you're playing a longer game. If you have a long, like a 50-turn game in Mario Party, fantastic investments to just like grab people at any point. Always good to have. Other spaces like Klepto. Klepto's another one. Klepto's very similar to Twister, except it is determinable where it goes. Always brings you back to the start space. But it's also just you have to land on it for it. So it makes a really good trap at like specific points of a board, right? So making sure you know exactly where you can end up, that's the key thing, right? It's like if I'm worried about like if there's a static star space, Klepto is a bastard. If that star space doesn't move, Klepto could be an absolute piece of shit. But that's the funniest thing in the world. Toady just takes an orb. Kamek gives you a board that's been a space that's been placed on the board already. And Blizzard, I believe, just destroys all an opponent's orbs. Like these ones, again, you're probably not buying these orbs too much. The only ones I'd say to like regularly buy are like the coin ones like Goomba or Piranha Plant. Klepto's not a bad one if you want to set that like trap early on a board that has like a static star space. And I don't remember if all ones spawn at the same time. Because I know sometimes they only have like certain orbs on certain boards. Like the snack orb. Well, no, the snack orb's always there. Because Chain Chomp is our new boo. Oh, wait. No. No, I'm incorrect here. Chain Chomp is used differently in this game. If I'm correct. Yeah, Snowflake. It's used on Snowflake. It's you gotta always remember like what game is Boo stealing, which one is Chain Chomp stealing. I believe 5 is just the only one that has that, but we'll get into snack orbs more when we get to that board, and we'll get into Boo Away is your standard like get the fuck off me, don't steal my shit. But that's basically it. Don't worry about these you guys can't even see them. There's spaces here. Could you guys even see? Oh, you guys can't even see what the orbs look like here. God damn it. You want it here, real quick. Okay, apparently we don't want to see that. Can I just zoom in? Hey, that's a little bit better. Just real quick. List of the items. Just going to show them all off. So you guys have an idea what I was speaking about. I wasn't even looking at the overlay to find out if I was correct on that. But it doesn't matter because we're not going to be looking at those again. It's not the important thing. The important thing is the boards and how these things work with it, right? So that's what we're going to go back into and see. So let's start off with our first board of Mario Party 6. Officially now, Towering Treetop. Did I get the name right? I got it right. Sometimes I got to double check. So what's Towering Treetop like? As a first board, as your basic board, you always got to have a basic board in a Mario Party game. This is our basic board. It's usually like a grass themed board. Right? A nature theme board. So what does that mean for us here? Let's take a look. In terms of first boards, there's actually a lot going on here and a lot of good stuff. Now, this has multiple star spaces that can spawn. There's a few of them. Again, I can't remember all of them to be exact, but there are plenty. I know there is one that appears right here. I believe there's one that pops up here as well, or in this general area. There's one that appears like down here somewhere. There's one that appears at the top. There's one that appears like around. Oh, I believe it's this space in particular. Star space there, star space there. I believe there's one like somewhere over here. Regardless, there's plenty of star spaces all over the board, and they're placed out very nicely, which is good to see. Also, slight change to DK and Bowser in this game. They are still here. They do act fairly similar to how they did in Mario Party 5. However, they don't spawn in random spots. The mechanic is a little bit different because of the main gimmick of Mario Party 6. The Mario Party 6's main gimmick is the day and night system. Every 3 turns, the game switches from daytime to nighttime and vice versa. This changes aspects of the boards, and it changes aspects of certain minigames. So it keeps the game like constantly changing and keeping fresh, and that's something I really love about this game in particular. And we'll see a lot of like the different ways that the boards change due to this mechanic, but the main thing that you want to know for DK and Bowser is that DK will only spawn in the daytime. You'll see there's a few DK spaces. There's one here. Here, not that one. Here, there you go. So we have a few DK spaces, but at nighttime, those all change to Bowser. So you only have to worry about Bowser in the nighttime, and you get those bonuses of DK in the daytime. I still see a good amount of Bowser when I play Mario Party 6, so I don't find that this like change like is too worrisome. Like considering it's like 3 turns and then you're switching over. Makes it kind of nice, where you're, you still get a healthy amount of Bowser and DK, even though they're not sharing the space at the same time. Still good though, still good. I'm a fan. I like it. I don't think it's that big of a change or a deal breaker. So I'm just happy to see it in general. Now, when it comes to more of the specifics on this board, let's look at the happenings first. Always good to look at the happenings. So, number 1, right at the bottom here, right at the bottom of the slide, we got Tickle Boy right here. If you tickle this boy, every player who's like on like a level will get like knocked down a level. So they'll go down to like, they basically will move down to a random space, usually like as close straight below as they can. Sometimes you want to tickle the tree, sometimes you don't, just depending on player placement. But it's nice that it gives you the choice to decide what option you kind of want to take there. Nice event, nice event. We also have these 3 spaces right here. I believe... Oh man, now I actually am forgetting. The bees steal your money. And it could be a random assortment. If I'm remembering that correctly. Now I'm not. Now I wish I was more confident. Let's see. Let's just make sure. Gives the players towards the right one. Okay, yeah, I was right. You do lose a random assortment of coins, just depending on how many bee stings you get. How many bees come up, they sting you, and that's why there's 3 in a row. Okay? Now, there's also this one. This is a more interesting one. When you go to this, you can decide to pick one of 3 random fluffs, and when you pick those fluffs, it will bring you to one of 3 random spots on the board. Unfortunately, they're not labeled on the boards themselves, which is a little annoying, but I do know it brings you to the same spots every time, or at least, if I'm remembering that correctly, another part of the board, let's see. Whatever fluff they choose takes them to another part of the board. Yeah. Again, I can't remember the specific spots that they bring you to. It might be... Is that a nighttime? I don't know if that's a nighttime only mechanic. No, it's not a nighttime only mechanic. But it will bring you to a random other spot on the board. So nice. Not a bad thing if you're just in like a bad situation and you want to go somewhere else. And you don't care like really where you go. Now, the Woody event at the top. That one's more interesting, because that's where we officially have our first, like, we have Evil Woody that pops up here as well. So in the daytime, it's Woody who will give coins on all the spaces and players, and, like, you'll get a random amount of coins, just depending on how many Woody put on that space, basically. If it's the night, it's Evil Woody, and he does the same thing, but with spiny eggs instead, and you lose coins in that instance. So, good thing, bad thing, always depends on what, on how it's going to affect everybody. So that's the Woody event. That's the fluffs, that's the beehive, that's tickling main Woody's nose. That's actually all the events on this board. Nothing too earth-shattering or game-breaking, but just enough to give you like a nice little bit of control over some movement and some agency with coins and such like that. So it's nice. It's nice to see, and it's nice to always have like trap spaces. I always love trap events. I find it's like it just adds that little extra fear, you know. Now we still have duel spaces are back. We have duels officially having their own specific spots on the board, and this game loves duels. Duels in Mario Party 6 are real fun. I'm a big fan of how duels are in Mario Party 6. So if I go down, I'm just gonna find the... Yeah, because in this game you can bet. I love this. I love the idea of betting your stuff in this game. I wanted to make sure I had the coin values right for it. So when you do a duel in this game, you have 2 choices. You can, or technically you have 3. You can duel for coins, and you basically set the coin how much you want to bet between both players. There you go. Pretty straightforward. We all know that. You can do star for star. Both put up a star. Winner gets both stars. Very good. But if you start the duel, you can decide if that the opponent has to do a star, but you can put up 40 coins instead. So you can kind of keep your star count safe while still dueling and trying to get yours up. But if you lose it, aced, you lost 40 coins, which is still pretty bad. But it's not a star. So in a life or death situation, not a bad option. Definitely not bad. If you're ballsy though, you go star for star. If you're ballsy, you go star for star. I respect the hell out of somebody who will always bet a star instead of 40 coins. Hell yeah, go for that. That's a power move. Now, in terms of options on this board, again, we have a lot of junctions on this board. You have a lot of places to go. Like, leading off the board, you immediately have a main junction here. Now, here's a big thing. When it comes to the main mechanic of day and night on this board in particular, there are two things to make note. Number one, Boo is on this board, and Boo only activates in the nighttime. So more risky when Bowser's around, but hey, star steal, coin steal, it is there, but only at night, so you gotta watch out for that. But more specifically on this board are the flower platforms right here and right here. These two platforms switch between day and night. When they're open, they shoot you up onto the top path. When they're open, they shoot you up to the top path. When they're closed, they shoot you to a bottom path. So typically, the longer path will usually have like more benefits. Like you'll notice here, there's a capsule space up here. There's two dual spaces. There's a dual space this way with a capsule space this way, but they are longer as well. Whereas if they're closed, you take the short path, you skip quite a bit of spaces, but you lose out on the chances of like specific dual spaces or item or capsule spaces and stuff like that. Maybe sometimes DK or Bowser. Always depends on the board, but and different junctions do it in different ways. But this is how this board handles it, and I like how it handles it here. Again, because this is our first board, we don't have to do anything crazy yet. It doesn't have to be nuts. But it does still give you a good idea of planning your route more efficiently and of where you want to go. And you're typically not going to lose out too much on a specific path if you're going any specific, like if you're looking to get to like a star space. I can't remember if a star spawns in this general area. I believe a star, I don't think there's any star that spawns in this area for that exact same reason. So it's not too bad. If a star spawned there, it'd be a lot worse. Hey, Tycho, how you doing? I'll be doing well today. Now, big thing to note. Here's your pro Mario Party player tip for you. Pro Mario Party player tip, okay? When it comes to capsule spaces and when you're placing capsule spaces, and this was similar to how I related in Mario Party 5 as well, but choose your spaces carefully of where you put your items. Number one, you don't want to put capsule spaces on star spawns because they will go away as soon as the star is gone from there. You don't want to waste a capsule space. Do not put them where stars spawn. Yeah, but more or less fine. Well, as long as you're existing, I'll take that. That's still a win. I mean, you still deserve at least a little bit of harm for what you did to me in the box. Don't worry. Don't worry. Oh, don't worry. We'll get to you. We'll get to this board. Don't you worry. Oh, boy. Regardless. Again, depending on where you put your capsule spaces down is very important, okay? The reason I say this is because, like, areas like this, right, where they're very hard to get to just depending on the time of day, right? If I have, like, a really strong orb, I don't want to put it in an area where, like, a good chunk of the time it's a 50-50 if a player is going to be able to even go in that area, right? And on top of that, an area like this side in particular, right? When you start the game, like, you come up to a junction, you have choice here, right? So if I see in this instance at the beginning of the game, I'm going up and I'm at the junction and I see I'm going to land here, but there's a character space here. Even if I don't know what that character space is, or if I do know what it is, I know how badly it's going to harm me, why the fuck would I go that way? You know, unless I'm that desperate to like make it up the top path, I'm going this way. Right now, you could argue, hey Nathan, but that makes it so that they don't go up there and they have to go all the way around just to get back. Which is true, right? I will cement that. But there are still benefits to taking the bottom path. It's not a done deal. Like, going that way does not mean you're done for. Because immediately after, you have an item shop, you have a DK space, you have an event that could travel you around the board. You do have to worry about, you know, bees. But going back down, another item, capsule space to get more capsules. Another happening to affect positioning on the board before you go right back to the junction. So there is still a lot that you can get, especially if like you get a movement-based die in here. If you get a triple dice, you're clearing this section in probably a turn or two anyway, right? Because just from the item space, you have 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's 26 spaces from the item store specifically, which isn't too bad if you do get a movement-based orb on top of that and roll pretty decently, right? And again, you might get another movement-based orb from down here. Like, you have a lot of good options here to work with. I would say your priority shouldn't be specifically like on a space like this. I would be more inclined to put an item space, or any capsule for that matter, on a space that is affected by multiple paths, where junctions meet again. So instead of putting one here, I would be more inclined to put it here. Because no matter which way you go, you have a fear of landing on that space if you go onto the path that goes up. Hey, music, how about you don't stop? Thank you. Much better. So it is smart to really think about where you put your capsule spaces in particular, because it can make or break a game, and it can, you don't want to waste your capsules, especially if you play with the honor system. I like to play with the honor system of, once you put a capsule space down, that space is yours. Like, you don't take it away. You don't take over somebody else's capsule space. That is poor sportsmanship. We're not about that. We are respectful in this goddamn house. Better handle your shit correctly. But always good to point out those little bits. Like, hey, before item shops is always a good one. Because you might potentially stop somebody from getting, and again, it is a junction where you can choose, but if somebody really needs to buy an item, that's a good thing to block off. Boo's another good one. Always stopping Boo. And again, this is a pretty long junction before you get here. So somebody could, be low and land maybe, around here, or maybe even here. They might not have gone into that section yet, but they put themselves more in a dangerous position because then there's no escape. Putting them in the right spots, that's the key. Always find good spots. So, generally, I would only put one here in front of the item store here. And I would generally avoid these ones until this space. That row of 4 spaces, because minus the happening, prime real estate. This is prime real estate. Okay? Prime real estate, because you have this junction comes back down to here. This junction goes down to here. Multiple chances for people to go in there, and two stars spawn on this route in particular. So I highly recommend covering this section with capsules if you can. Now, again, because the star spawns, you don't want to have them specifically on the star spaces unless it's a trap. Traps are usually fine if you know a star's not going to spawn again there for a while, but don't put your best shit there. Save them for for the other spaces. That's your best bet. But if we're talking prime real estate on this board, if we're talking the cream of the crop places to put any capsules, these two and this, that's the prime real estate, because every single track has to go back to this slide. Everywhere will end up at one of these two, from one of these two junctions, it will always bring you back to the start here. This is the spot that you want to fill up your shit the most. If you're going to place capsule spaces, you want them here. Put them here. Not your traps. Typically not the traps. Sometimes traps. Really just depends on the situation you're in. But any like standard orb spaces, put them here. That's the fuck me zone on this board. Put them there. Everywhere else is just if you have the good chance to do it. And actually, you know what? That being said, I should give a little bit of extra strategy knowledge as well, because the bonus stars in this game actually have changed. I should have mentioned that before as well, but they have changed slightly. We don't have Coinstar anymore. Coinstar is actually gone. Happening is still there. Minigame is still there. Those act the same as they did before, but the difference now is that instead of Coinstar, we have Orb Star. Orb Star is the player who uses the most orbs in a game. They will get a bonus star. It is very advantageous to use an orb basically every turn that you play, because you're guaranteeing a star, right? And if not, and if other people also know this, then they're probably also using orbs. And even if you guys match, hey, you both got a bonus star. But it's better to fight for that bonus star than to lose it to somebody else. And all you gotta do is use items. Not a big deal. Whether that's movement or placing down an orb, you want to be getting orbs as often as possible to fulfill that quota, especially in longer games. Especially in longer games. So place. That's what you want. Now, that's about it on this board. Like, obviously, there's some other things that you could, like, the other junctions, like, going back to the middle area, continuing up the board. You can go up to the highest point. You know, you can go to the center area. Boo's there, so it is always nice. If you're coming down here, you're skipping Boo and going down or going, you know, up and such. But generally speaking, there's not a whole lot else, like, on this board other than those junctions and going where the stars spawn. If you are going higher up the board, you are taking a longer trip to get back down. But generally speaking, it's actually not too bad. Let's look at the facts. Let's start like here, because like we said, there's about 26 spaces just to get back to here if you're taking that middle route, right? And this is like the biggest chunk of the board in terms of spaces. But let's say if we want to get back just to the start space, right? So if we're going this way from here, right? 3, 6, 9, 10, 3, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20 spaces. 20 spaces from this point. Now let's see what it is on the other track. So let's say we take the short path. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. We go all the way down here. 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. We go all the way down. 20, 1, 2, 3, 4. Only 4 more spaces if you're taking the short path here and then the short path here. Not that bad. You'll add a couple more spaces if you're going, you know, add 4 if you're going this way, add 4, 5, 6 if you're going this way. But honestly, not that big a jump in the grand scheme of things. So you really have a lot more freedom than you think going anywhere on this board. You're going to be spending a fairly equal amount of time no matter which area of the board that you go to. You'll always end up back at that beginning area around the same time, just depending on how your rolls are. But it makes this board very even. This is a very, like, when it comes to, like, starter boards, this is actually one of my favorites in the series, because it's just, it's not particularly crazy. Like, you don't have any, like, earth-shattering, like, event that's gonna, like, change the entire game, typically. Every once in a while, you might get, like, oh, you know, we tickled the Woody, and the guy fell, he didn't get that last star he needed, you know. But you're not gonna see, like, the craziest plays on this board. But you know what? Not every board needs that. Sometimes it's nice to have a board that kind of gives you something basic to, like, kind of work out the mechanics really well, and it's a nice competitive board if you don't want, like, a lot of random bullshit. Now, I love random bullshit. I'm a big fan. Give me random bullshit every day in my Mario Party boards. I eat that shit up for breakfast. But it is also nice to have something that is more, like, toned down so that you can have, like, more, if you want that more, like, competitive side of Mario Party, you can get it here, and it's nice to see. This really exemplifies what makes Mario Party 6 like really strong in my book, and why I like put it in such high regards. It's not a top tier board, but it's one of the best starter boards in the series, and I really appreciate it for that. So we spent a good amount of time just talking about the first board and the mechanics of Mario Party 6, but it makes it's I think it's I think it's a good I think it's fantastic. I think it's a fantastic game, and it deserves all the attention, and going over Tower and Treetop like this sets us up for the rest of the boards in the game. So thank you, Tower and Treetop. You are fantastic. I'm actually going to put it in the so close category. Very, very close to being top tier. Again, I love that wackiness. I'm going to put like some wacky, like game-changing scenarios for our top tier boards. But overall, Tower and Treetop, fantastic starter board. Great pick. All right. With that now, we move on. Egad's Garage. Here we go. Board number 2. We're getting a little bit more funky here. A lot more interesting events going on here. And the day and night cycle's a little bit more tame. But we still got a couple fun things here. So let's take a look and see what this board's got. Right off the bat, let's take a look at where our important spaces are on this board. We have dual spaces. Dual space there. Oh, sorry. There's actually one thing I didn't point out on Tower and Treetop real quick. Just so you know, chance time still does exist. Green star space. That is your chance time. I believe it's really hard to see. That is a chance time, not a duel. Good to know. Good to note. But just want to point out that, yes, chance time does exist. I didn't bring that up before. It does exist. It's basically the same. Don't worry about it. Anyway, dual spaces. We got one right here. And that's it. Egad does not have a lot of duels. I'll be honest. This is not a board that duels happen quite often, and you'll see why when we get into like the main mechanic of this board. But yeah, only having one space means that duels don't happen here a lot. But there's a lot of other wacky shit that happens on this board. Kind of makes up for it. I do like a board that gives me a lot of opportunities to duel because duels are so much fun, and Mario Party 6 does them really well. But good to know, only one dual space on this board. And there's only one chance time space on this board. And it is in this series of spaces here. We'll get into that in a moment as well. DK spaces, we also, DK/Bowser, we also only have 2. We have this one down here and this one up here. Pretty sparse, but not too bad. You'll also notice this board doesn't seem to have as many spaces of Towering Treetop. I think it's kind of deceiving. I think it has like a fairly similar count, but there's a lot that happens in here. So let's get into like the main gimmicks of this board. First major thing you'll see, we have 3 teleporter stations actually placed on this board. Landing on the happening space allows you to choose if you want to teleport to the next teleporter space. So if you're here, you're going here. If you're here, you go here, and if you're here, you go here. Pretty straightforward in terms of like movement tech on the board. It can be really helpful if you need to like get across the board pretty quick, or if like the star spawns behind you and you need to like just like get back fast. That can it can also be a way to like just speed up your process of getting back to another star space, or gain you away from trouble. Pretty straightforward event, but again, you don't have to take the teleporter if you don't want. So sometimes it's just a free happening space. We take those. Happening star is always important. Don't forget that. Next in happenings, you'll actually see on the conveyor belts on the board here. So right here, if you land on any happening space in here, the conveyor belts will start moving and dump you down here and spit you out on this space. It's not all bad though, because the track seems to also like to spit out coins on top of that. So you'll usually get a little bit of money for your troubles. Usually does set you up. Mostly you care more about, you know, your position on the board than a few coins that you're going to get from the happening. So it's not great spaces to land on, but you get a little bit of coins, and it goes towards your happening count. So it's, you know, it's not great if you keep landing on them, but also you don't have to go that way either. Because bam, 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 there's a junction. Don't worry. You can choose to avoid that. Other events on the board. This one's pretty simple. We got big old fan. Big old fan. You go on that fan, you click that A button a lot, you steal money from other players. Actually, I believe the player who lands on it doesn't click A. The three trying to stop their money from getting stolen, they're spamming A to stop more money from getting taken. But easy coins. If you got the chance to land on a happening and you got no reason to like go this way, fuck it. Go get that money, baby. Go get another happening. Fucking why not? Might as well. Oh, I'm sorry, and I didn't mention this before. The conveyor belt system that's here, it's also here. I did not mention that before. So if you do land on the happening here, same thing, brings you out right here. This one's way more painful to land on. But it is normally like placed before like the main junction path. So you're usually safe on it. Most people don't land on it unless you're taking like the shorter path. You risk landing on it and taking it. But if you took the shorter path already, then I mean, hey, you can risk a few more turns. You're already moving. You were already moving quick anyway. You'll start to notice the general theme of this board of a lot of risk and a lot of like risk versus reward factor in this. Find a little bit of, oh sorry, I believe there's two more happening events on this board. This one is actually affected by the day and night cycle. In the daytime, you can trade your orb into all your orbs that you currently have into the machine, and EGAD will give you new orbs. What will you get? No fucking clue. But who knows what you'll get? That's the exciting part of it. That's why you do it. There is also the option of in nighttime, instead of giving you other orbs, it actually gives you coins instead. I believe it gives you the market value of the orbs, maybe slightly higher, but I think a bare minimum it gives you market value. Is it worth it? If you really need the money. But again, because using orbs goes towards the orb star for the bonus stars, I don't usually recommend it for trading it for coins unless you're like desperately trying to buy a star that's nearby. Trading orbs for orbs is fine. If you have useless orbs, you want to try your hand at getting something better, yeah, why not? But for the coin one, harder sell. It's a harder sell. You usually really value your orbs in this game. So take it as you will. It's a scenario by scenario basis, but if I have the general option, I won't trade my orbs for coins. I would rather trade orbs for orbs or just use them myself. Now, this last happening, I'll be honest, I forget what that one does. I don't remember. That's a weird one for me. That one I don't see very often. I'm trying to see if there is... I don't see it showing up there. I just want to go and see more on orbs. Oh no, I don't want to edit it. I just want to go to the board itself. Okay. EGAD's garage. All right, let's just see. All right. That's it. This actually, I forget. Very rarely do people land on this happening whenever I play. But this is I love this one. Okay, this is great. I love this. I love this one. Okay, this is good. This is good. So, this orb in particular, or this space in particular is like an orb space. EGAD will show up and ask you if you want to spend coins to put character spaces on the board. Woo! And you can pay a different amount of coins to put those spaces on the board. Now, big thing is I believe there is, like, EGAD can possibly cover up somebody else's. So, you know, at this point, it's a matter of respect if EGAD decides to follow the rule, but it's not on you. If if EGAD breaks the sin, that's not on you. Just so you know. Don't worry about it. Don't feel bad. But it is also, it's really nice because it also is determinable of what placing you're in. So if you're in first place and going to this event, it will cost you more. Why is this song in particular? Yeah, it's like, I'm just going to skip that one. There you go. So if you're in first place, it's going to cost you way more to place those character spaces. But if you're in fourth, it's pretty cheap. Might help catch you up. Now, you don't know what... I don't believe you can tell what orbs are going to... what they're going to be. Like, obviously, you'll know if it's a trap or a standard character space. But I don't think you actually get to know, like, what kind of orb landed there. But, you know, typically it's fucking hilarious, so... go for it. If you land on that, why the fuck not? Now, I don't believe it counts to... it doesn't count towards your orb. Towards the orb star. So, it's not going to shoot up your numbers. But having more spaces on the board ain't a bad thing. Might as well go for it. Even in first place, I would probably still go for this. If I land on it, I'm probably putting something down. Especially if I have spare change. I fuck with that. Absolutely. Okay, now... final bit, when it comes to the day and night cycle. Here's the big thing, how it works. When day and night swaps on this board, this middle path here flips a little bit. It turns. Instead of going from here, going in these paths, it changes slightly to this instead. So when you go right here, you end up looping back down to the bottom. And when you're here, it loops back up to the top. Basically, they become little mini loops instead. So the only way to progress further along the board at that point is to take the outside trek. So in the daytime, you can use these routes as quicker shortcuts to different parts of the map. But in the nighttime, they can be used to either like farm a specific area if you want to stay in a specific spot. Or they're used to kind of... no, I think that's it. Yeah, to shield yourself, basically. To keep yourself in an area. Yeah, that's basically it. I don't know where else I was going with that. Or the thought just died mid-sentence. Either way, very important space is this middle section. During the daytime, you have way more like risk reward when it comes to the areas that you go. And nighttime is way more defensive. So you have daytime is more offensive. Nighttime is more defensive. So it's good to plan yourself accordingly. Now, with that being said, because these paths are, you know, pretty valuable when it comes to movement around the board, decent spot to put character spaces on. Now, they're not my go-to, but they are still very nice. And I do recommend putting your spaces there. This is actually a really interesting board when it comes to putting down character spaces because of the amount of junctions this board has. This board has a lot of junctions, especially at the beginning. Like, just from the start there. Like, everyone gets an item, and then you immediately have a junction 5 spaces in. Okay. Sure, I guess I'll go up. All right. Oh, shit. Another junction. Well, I guess I'll go up. Like, just here alone, you have so many different options. Do you take the bottom path, go to an item store, one of the few on the board, and then end up on the main path before you get to a next junction? Do you take the first path up and then go, actually, you know what? Maybe I do want I want the safe route. Or do you take it a little risky and go the longer route with all the happening spaces that could send you just straight back to here, right? But also the safe path has a free orb space. Kind of nice. I keep saying capsule. Or they call them, they're orbs now. I say capsule space or orb space. They're the same thing. I don't know why they changed the name. Orb is better. I still miss the gobble. But the because junctions are so, they're everywhere on this board, it makes trying to find the optimal spots for placing your character spaces and character orbs like way more important. Again, rule of thumb is typically wherever the board like always likes to reset to is like a really strong bet. So like basically from here to here is usually a very strong like candidate for orbs, for character spaces. Now again, because you have so many junctions, we do have a junction here, right? So if there's like a ton of shit down here that they want to avoid, if it's daytime, look at that. They got a free pass out anyway, right? So if there's any board where you want to kind of split up where you put your character spaces on, it's this one, 100%. You don't want to own just like one part of this board because so often it's like there's so many options to either stall out turns, like especially in the nighttime, or just take an alternate path. Now, a really fun thing that you can do, especially if you're playing longer games, is dominate two junctions dictate one junction very close together. So again, let's look at this junction for a good example, because I know a lot of stars spawn over in these general areas, right? Getting an orb on this space and an orb on this space immediately destroys any choice that an enemy player has, especially if both of those orb spaces are the same orb. That's very funny. Now, they're not always going to be the same. It's very rare that you'll get like that kind of opportunity, especially when other players start to see what you're doing. But with that being said, you know, it is a very valuable thing to have, right? To take complete control of a route. And again, this is like specifically with mercy rules. I play this with the mercy rules in mind, because if you take over somebody else's character space, you're a bit of a monster. I don't jive with you. I think that's bad. Don't do that. But, you know, you play how you do, you fucking heathens. I'll play with class and respect, thank you. But owning those spaces on one junction takes the choice away from the enemy, which is exactly what you want, right? You don't want them to have that safe opportunity. Now, again, you have to like prepare these spaces, right? You're taking 2 turns just to lay these down. And you only have 5 spaces to work with when it comes to like how far from where you are where you can place an orb, right? So I usually say like if you plan to use the strategy, do it like within the 5 spaces before the junction. So if I'm like here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I'm putting one on this turn, and chances are I'll still be within range to get one on the space the next turn. So I highly recommend doing that either way. Generally speaking, what you want to do best that you can is to put the first orb in the direction that you aren't gonna go. The reason I say that specifically is I believe sometimes the game can stop you from putting an orb in a path that you weren't on. I can't remember if Mario Party 6 does that 100%. It's been a minute since I played Mario Party 6, which is a damn shame. I need to play it again. But you can take that precaution by putting the orb on the path that you aren't gonna take, so that you're good to still put it on the one that you do want to, if you happen to pass the junction. Now, another prime location to put your capsules, right there in the middle area. Again, because it's used as like a shortcut lane and used as a stalling tactic, really good spot to put capsules. However, the star does spawn, I believe it's the top one. I could be wrong. It might be the bottom one. I'm pretty sure it's this one though. So if you're going to place capsules, just watch out for the star spaces that spawn. Just like any board, but it's always good to mention. This is a very strong candidate for like holding ground. Now, the conveyor belts specifically, I believe once they're activated, they do destroy character spaces. I could be wrong on that. If I am wrong, Zoomzyke's like Mario Party 6 breakdown will tell you if I'm wrong. And when I go back to when I go and make the video, I'll probably go over Zoomzyke's videos again to see if my opinions change or anything like that. But I generally avoid putting them on the conveyor belt spaces for that reason. So just watch out for that. One other bit I will say, though, because we don't have like a specific part of the board that you can bunch up that everyone's going to go to, taking away the safe option from the player can be fun as well. So all along the outside of the board, you'll notice that that is like the safest route around the board, right? You're not dealing with as much shenanigans all along here, right? It's like you got items shops, you got orb spaces, you got teleporters, you got the fan, you got the EGAD machine, you got the rocket orb event. Most of the stuff is on that outside ridge. Not bad spots to be. They can be very valuable with all the orbs that you can get, all the happenings that are there. Like, there's a lot of choice in here. So, can be pretty valuable to take over some of that real estate, you know? And again, right before item shops, always decent spots to put orbs or traps. I find that this section in particular, this section gets real fucky with character spaces. I don't know what it is. I find people just love putting character spaces in here. It really decentivizes people from using this shop. But again, if they're your orb spaces, who cares? That's your shop still. Now you have a one-stop shop just for yourself. But that's it for EGAT's garage, basically. That's the straight and narrow of it. With that being said, again, another very solid board. Again, I love boards that have lots of junctions that give you lots of choices. And the switch from offensive style to defensive style is a really unique mechanic. And I really love that about this board in particular. And it makes this one like this is a very character space heavy board. Even though like, again, the bunches of like not having like one specific space might make it seem that it's not, but like a lot of orb spaces get placed around this board, and it makes it really fun. And I highly recommend playing this board. I find this board is slept on quite a bit. I think more people need to give proper love to this board in particular. With that being said, where do I put it? Again, it doesn't have enough wackiness, I would say. It's not like my absolute favorite, but it's definitely above Towering Treetop for me. This is like your baby's next step into Mario Party 6. So close. Fantastic board, though. Big fan of it. It just doesn't have like that final bit of sauce. I always need a little bit of sauce to get in that top tier selection. All right. Next. Now, this is a controversial board. I also have the nighttime version here because I couldn't get a big daytime one for some reason, but don't worry about it. This is a very controversial board, I found out in recent years. This used to be my all-time favorite board, but where does it rank now? Let's get into it. Fair Square is a gambler's paradise. Oh boy, we love our gambling, baby. So let's see what we're dealing with. We got a lot of duels on this board. I will point that out right away. You're going to have duels constantly here. We got a duel space here, here, and here. They are landed on constantly. Constantly. Because, like, this main path, right, has 2 duel spaces along it. And if you want to exit the main circle of this area, bam, one of those exits is indeed just a straight up duel space. If you happen to have, like, if you're looping around, hey, that's an easy one to get to. Everyone's going here, so there's a good chance that this one gets landed on more than any other. Prepare for duels. If you are bad at duels, don't play on Fair Square. Do not. It will become unfair square. Don't do it. Now, that, we actually also only have one DK/Bowser space. Right here on the board. That's the only one. But don't let that fool you, okay? This bastard space is landed on constantly. Constantly. And why is that? Because it's one of only 2 routes into the star area. And it's the more appealing one because it's less walk to the star space, right? From this junction, it's only 9 spaces to the star space. Whereas if you take the higher junction, it's 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. So nearly, it's over double because it's 19 technically just to get to here. So it's more than twice as long to go the other path just to get to this space. So this becomes like the default path, which means this fucking stupid space gets landed on constantly. Especially at nighttime with the mechanic that this board has. But again, I'm getting ahead of myself. We also do have chance time still. Very similar to the dual space. Again, it's right off a junction, and it's really easy to get to. Like, as long as you're taking this path, not that bad. Now, you can't loop around as easily like you can for this dual space. But still, not bad. Not a bad swap for a chance time, and it's not too difficult to, like, actually land on if you get the chance. So, if you do, go for it. Might as well. We do have 2 item stores, by the way. We have one right at the beginning of the map and one in the main circle, one in the main pit. Both are in ideal situations because, again, because the map will typically likes to reset to here at some point. This one and like the beginning of the game, you're always gonna get to it. I will say though, this main pit is not always the main path that you'll go because, again, because of this junction right over here, you can go up into here and completely avoid that section as well. So this item store doesn't always get all the attention in the world, especially because like most people who are going into the circle are usually either going out here, they're usually going out here to get back into the circle again, or they're going up and around, or they're just going through the womp and going around like that. So this one gets neglected most of more of the time, but this one being right there, that one's seen constantly. However, it's also like you're also more cautious about spending your money on orbs on this board, and again, we'll get to that. But to make up for that, we do have orb spaces around the board still too, right? We have one at this junction right here to incentivize you for going this way, which gives you the option of getting 2 orbs on this route, right? From the space and the shop. So if you're looking to get a lot of orbs, good path to take. We also have an orb space on the top part of the path, which every player is going to go if you're going on the main loop anyway. No matter which loop you go with, you will always end up back at this orb space. So you're always going to have access to orbs, like a free one at some point, especially if you're not taking the right path and going down. The only other orb space that we have is this one right here, which you can only access from the womp. You have to pay 10 coins to pass the womp. If you're sitting on an excess of coins and just want that quicker trip down to the star space or to the store or just to get the free item, you can go right ahead for it. Do I always recommend it? Not necessarily, but it is there. It really depends on how much money you have. Now, main mechanic of this board. Again, we have 1 star space. Again, trap or like those orbs. Any orb that stays there for a long time. This prime real estate. Get orbs there as soon as possible. Coin stealing orbs, get them there immediately. Klepto, get it there immediately. You want those fucking orbs there as soon as possible. Because goddamn is it valuable real estate. That's prime fucking real estate. Use it to your advantage. And what makes this static star space different from any other ones in the series? Well, let me tell you. When it is daytime on this board, the star space acts like it normally does. 20 coins will get you a star. Very straightforward. Very nice. At nighttime, though, the price of the star changes. There's a dice roll that happens at the beginning of every night cycle. And the price of stars can go from 5 coins to 40 coins. That's bonkers. Now, you might be like, Nathan, what does that matter anyway? I mean, like, yeah, it sucks to pay more, or it's great to pay, like, less for a star, but you're getting, like, a star around. Like, unless you have, like, movement dice, it doesn't feel like it's going to matter all that much. I neglected the point that whether it is day or night, doesn't matter. When you go to the star space, you can buy up to 5 stars at a time. 5 stars can be bought at once every time you go to it, no matter what. So, do you take the daytime chance to go and guarantee 20 coins, that middle of the road normal price for a star, have 100 coins, get 5 stars just like that? Or do you gamble? Do you wait? Do you wait and see for the eventual nighttime? See if you get that lucky 10 coins, that 5 coin star. Save that money big time. Or do you get screwed over and get 30 or 40 coins? Hard to say. But you got to make that fucking bet now, don't ya? That's the real enticing nature of this board, is that one mechanic. Here's the issue. It's very lopsided because of this. This board really is like, if you're number one, you're number one. No one's taking that from ya. If you're winning minigame after minigame after minigame, you don't care how much the stars cost. You're buying 5 stars no matter what, unless it's 40 coins. But there's a good chance you're 15 stars ahead of everyone else anyway. Not worth it. This is a board that really shows off power dynamics when it comes to like different skill levels of players in Mario Party. Do not play this board if you are either so far ahead in skill level or so below in skill level to the other players you're playing with. Because Jesus Christ, will you steamroll or get steamrolled? It is a nightmare. It is not balanced for like a general, like a group of players with varying skill levels. Absolutely not. This board will not fucking help you. No amount of dual spaces, no amount of happenings are going to save you here. Chance time is your only fucking saving grace. And at least Sluggish Room exists so you can fucking try your best to get it. But like, goddamn, have I like done like even 30, like 20, 30 turn games where I had a fucking 20, 30 star lead on the other players? This board is mean. It's mean. Unless you're playing with other like active like players, or like all the levels or all the other players are within the same like level, I don't typically recommend it. I don't typically recommend it otherwise. I still think this can be a very fun board, but it can also be one of the most lopsided boards. And there's nothing worse than a Mario Party game where somebody is just dominating 100%, right? Somebody's just fucking crushing it, 30 stars ahead of everyone else. No one's having a good time. I'm barely having a good time when I'm winning like that. I think that's fucking dumb as shit. Okay? So like, you know, caution when playing this board. This is a board that can really like make somebody love this game or hate this game. This is not, a lot of people use this as like the first board that people use. This is the equivalent of of asking somebody who's not seen Lord of the Rings before, making them watch the extended cuts first. Don't do that. You're a fucking asshole if you do that. Don't do that, okay? You're not going to get them into it. Don't do it. Start with a different board, please, for the love of God. There are other, like, gambling-esque boards. Don't do it here, okay? Now, if you got a ragtime group of people who are all, like, who all know what they're doing, you're going to have some of the best fucking games of your life here. You're going to have some of the best fucking games of your life. Because you got some fucking wacky-ass shit here. So let's go into some of those events that truly make this board, like, a cut above the rest in certain areas. So the first event that everyone activates, and it's not even a happening space. This is not a happening space here. You got a straight up roulette, not a roulette, slot machine. The coin values between day and night change. They are more rewarding in the nighttime, but you're more likely to fail it in the nighttime. I believe there's like a slight like advantage in the day where the game will like kind of, even if you don't time it correctly, it will most of the time give you a win. Whereas the nighttime, nah, no handicap for you. Get fucked, mate. That's just what it is. So just watch what you do there. You're guaranteed. I'll do it every time. If I'm passing it, I think it's 5 coins in the day and it's 10 coins to try it at night. I'm paying the coins every fucking time, unless I desperately like am low on cash and I need it. No, I'm gambling every time. Fuck yeah, baby. Now, we got some happenings, more happenings. This one and these ones. These are actually all the same. If you land on those spaces, a little metric. No, sorry, they are different. I'm dumb. They're similar. That's why I was thinking this. This one in particular, when you activate this one, a broom will come out. And it will carry you away. And you'll fly all around the map. And you will land on one of 2 spaces randomly. You will either land, bam, right before the star. Hallelujah. Or you land right after the star. Fuck. Honestly, not that big a deal either way. I mean, if you do land on it and end up here, right, it's like, okay, you at least have the option to take the junction down if you want to duel or go to the slot machine again. Or, again, you can take the up path just to get back on. You're doing an extra what? An extra 7 spaces to get back onto the main route. Technically, you can cut out 2 of those. So technically 5 spaces. 5 spaces more than what you would have done before. But again, you also could take the Womp Way, and technically now it's a shorter path if you have the money for it. You don't get to choose if this event gets activated. It just happens. So just keep that in mind. But it's not a bad movement option. And it's not too punishing. And it's great if you get it like right before this. If you get it, bam, stars, man. That's great. We'll take the shortcut. It's worth the risk, I say. If it was like a choice to be like yes or no, I'd say take yes every time anyway. You might as well. You're gonna go there. We all know it. But we do have again, interesting ones right here. These ones are more dangerous. These ones are, especially if you're looking to do like this event here, which we'll get to, or if you're trying to get to like chance time. This is, I think, what stops people from going to the right path of the board more often than not. And it's because both of these happenings, when you land on them, spit you right back out here at the start. Not super ideal. There's not really a huge reason to go that path, or to specifically go to land on those happenings. Because, like, if you're going that path to go back to the start, it's probably because you're either trying to avoid a trap, which is always game dependent, like on the bottom path, or it's because you want like to go to the item store at the beginning of the map. But why not just go down to the item shop that's right there? Again, the fear of the traps and stuff that other players might have there, of course that's an option there, but like That's game dependent. That's obviously space dependent. There's not a lot of reason to land on those spaces, and it usually, like, a lot of people end up not taking that right path because they might land on one of those 2 spaces from the junction that's right before it. It makes the right path way more quiet, and it makes, like, putting orb spaces over there, like, not as valuable. Although I will say, if you want to stop people from taking that path and have a little bit more control, putting an orb right in between those 2 happenings immediately kills, like, even more potential that people will even take this path. So take that as you will. Not a bad idea. All right. We have 2 more events. Before I get to the one on the top, let's go with this one right here first. Again, Night and Day have 2 different versions of this event. We have a star duplication event here. Very rare do you get an event like that, but again, you're gambling. In the daytime, it's fairly easy. I believe there's like 3-4 hats. They will take one of your stars and hide them on the hats, and they will shuffle the hats. They are very easy to track. If you go to this event, you're basically going to double your star. If it's nighttime, though, it is way harder to tell where the star is. But if you do get it in the nighttime, I believe it's 3 stars that you get. So you go from 1 to 3. Again, because the star space lets you buy up to 5 stars, this isn't that enticing unless the stars cost like 40 coins at the moment. But again, if they cost 40 coins at the moment, then that means it's nighttime, which means the hat thing is harder to do, which means most players aren't going to even be able to beat it on a 1 to 6 odds anyway, and you're potentially going to lose a star by doing it. I rarely see this event played at night for that reason. I have one friend who kills it every time. I believe Connor kills it every fucking time. I have no idea how fucking Connor does it. I have no idea how he keeps track. That shit moves insanely quickly. I don't even know if I have... I want to see if I can get, like, a video of that event happening. Let's see. Fair, square, star, hat. Star, hat, event. All right, let's see. Damn it. I don't see like actual like specific footage of it. You son of a bitch. Son of a bitch. Rude. Very rude. I just wanted to know. Bah. No, you can be hopeful. Regardless, it's fast as shit. It's fast as fuck. So this event doesn't get landed on too much. So again, don't place a lot of like capsule orbs like or character space orbs like over here. It's typically not super worth it. This path does not get taken that often because of that. I do find this to be a poor bit of design because of that reason. It's not great when a board really forces you into like one optimal path. You want a board that gives you like lots of choice and that you value taking different options on the board. This is like the hard thing about doing a board where there is a static star space, and why most static star space boards are like a one track like map. Because when you have a board like this that has like that isn't, you know, doesn't lead to like one spot and then reset, there's gonna be an optimal path to get back to the start. Typically it's like when you're playing the game, you go through, you go up here, you go down, All right, you got stars. Good. You got stars. Good. Oh, I have extra money. I'm going to go this way. I got more stars. Good. All right, I got more stars. Good. I got more money. So on and so forth. This is what gets touched the most in the game. And again, if you want to get even more technical on that, right? This is seen still very, very little. Only like really a couple times, because otherwise you're going to be, most of the game is spent in this like metal shape. This is like the main part of the board. So like everything else just becomes like not as noticeable. You know, you don't get to see as much of this board as you would like to, generally speaking. Now, again, things can persuade characters into going like different ways and taking the other paths and stuff like that. But the way that this board is specifically designed, like, takes away a little bit of that from the player. Now, the saving grace to all of this, or I shouldn't say the saving grace to it. One benefit that you do have is that the main path does have one of my favorite events in the series. I love this event. And honestly, if it wasn't fair square where the odds are so stacked against like players with like huge like star leads, this would be like, I want this on any other board. I hate that it's this board in particular, but I do love the event regardless. Here at the top of the board, if you land on this space, every player has to come up. In the daytime, every player gives, I believe, 10 coins into a pot, and you pick a random chimney for each of the players. One of those is the correct one, and they get all the coins. Nighttime, however, everyone gives a star, and one person gets all 4 stars. That's some good shit. That's some grade A shit. We love that menace mentality. We love that shenanigan shit. That's the sauce I'm talking about. But here's the problem. Again, because the star leads can be so vast, if your player, like, you know, if the skill level between players is so drastic, if I have 30 fucking stars and everyone else has 3, if I land on this event, I don't give a shit who wins or loses. The other people don't really give a shit if they win or lose, because they already aren't catching up to the guy with 30 fucking stars. It just becomes a bullying contest between 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. It's any other board where things are more even, this shit would slap hard. God damn. I love this event. I just wish it wasn't on this board. As you can tell, I've had like a drastic change in mindset when it comes to this board, as opposed to when I was younger with this board. Like this was my favorite board. Like this and Waluigi Island, like these two like battle it out constantly. I've since learned the error of my ways, but just the fact of just the way that this map like really like pinholes like your decision making and where you go, it hurts the board design. It's not great board design for that reason. This board has a lot of really good shit in it, and you can still have a lot of fun on this board, but it's not one that I typically recommend to new players, especially if they're playing with people who have experience with Mario Party. And even those who do have experience with it might get a little bored with it, to be honest, especially if people start getting like massive leads and there's not really hope of making a comeback. Yeah, it does have its moments. It has its moments. We've all seen other people play this board. You might have played it yourself and had the exact same kind of scenarios happen on time to time, but generally speaking, if you want like a nice close-knit like round with other people, most other boards gonna be better for you. It's not bad. It's not super horrible. It's better than most boards in the series. It's better than pretty much any board in Mario Party 4. But, you know, I can't rate it nearly as high as I used to. So this one might be the biggest shock. But I'm going to probably put this in... I'll probably still put it in... I'll put it in... It's a hard one. It could go either. I think I have to put it in That's a Board. I think I have to put it there. And the reason being, like, good time all around. Like, I think fair. I think a fair board, generally speaking, is going in here. This isn't balanced enough for me to put it in good time all around. Like, if you do, like, I could argue bottom of the tier. But again, I'm not doing, like, between all the games. I'm not doing that. So I'm going to put in That's a Board. I'm going to put in That's a Board category. That's probably my most, that might be one of my more controversial picks. I think I've made my case, though. I think I made the case. All right, we're halfway there. It's 8:50. I want to get through these boards a little bit faster. So let's speed up the pace a little bit here. Thankfully, the next board, we don't have a lot to talk about here. This is a pretty straightforward board with a unique mechanic. First introduced in this game. So let's see how it stacks up as the first appearance of it. Snowflake Lake. Snowflake Lake. That's what we're running with here. Snowflake Lake. This is an interesting board based on the mechanics of everyone starts with stars on this board. And by the way, if you play this board, use handicap and give everyone as many stars as... well, I mean, you don't have to. It gives you 5 stars at the start of the game. Just note that whatever stars that you have at the beginning of the game are the only stars that are going to be available during the game. So if you want to play with like more duels and have more stars available, handicap is going to be the way to do it. Although, just as a side note, I highly recommend just like any game of Mario Party that you do, start everyone with 1 star because everyone has something to lose at the very beginning of the game. So just like keep that in mind. It's a fun mechanic. I love doing that now. That's a recent thing I started doing. Very fun. Highly recommend. Anyway, let's go on this board. Now, there are duels galore on this board. We are talking, if you want duels, you are getting fucking duels, baby. You got one here. You got one here. You got one here. You got one down here. And just in the middle area alone, you got fucking 4 duels in here. This is Duel City, and that is on purpose because the main mechanic of this board is star stealing, baby. That's why you start with so many stars, and that's why you can't get any more. There are no star spaces on this board. There are only chain chomps. Chain chomps, baby. 4 distinct chain chomp locations. And when you go past these, you can pay them to give you... you can pay them to roll dice blocks. I believe it's random how many dice blocks they offer. Sometimes it's 1, sometimes it's 2. I don't think they do 3. Maybe sometimes they do 3, but I think it's only 1 or 2. And I believe the price changes depending on like your lead. I can't remember exactly. This is we'll get more into this one, like this in comparison to its like future versions and like the other in Mario Party 7 in particular, which I think does the concept like better and worse in areas. Again, we'll get to that. But basically, like the main way the mechanic works is that you pay to move with the chain chomp, and if you pass any player, you steal a star. Now, this does go back to that bone capsule item or orb. God, capsule, orb. Whatever, the bone orb that you see or that you saw earlier. If you have that on you, it acts as a deterrent, and you will not get stomped when it goes by. It automatically uses the orb, which is great news. Or I believe, yeah, it does automatically use the orb. I am correct there. Good. But that's the main mechanic of the board, so you gotta watch out. Now, you'll notice that all the chain chomps are on the outside of the board. They're all around the board specifically. So they only take the outside route of the board, okay? Now, when it comes to the day and night cycle on this board, here's how it plays into this. You'll see these icicles along the edges of the board. These icicles are there during the night, but melt during the day. So during the daytime, there's safety nets like out the path if you're worried about a player getting to a chain chomp and getting you, right? But at night, they're there. If you're on that outer path, you're fucked. The only way off the path at night is the one to pay 10 coins to go by. Now, there is also an item shop there, which is great to see. But it being the only means of escape once nighttime hits, not great. And thankfully, if you are in this middle area at night, you are generally safe for a time being. But you can't hide in here forever. Once you're in here, no matter which way you come from, you have the option of getting out here. So you get to choose to go out there if you want. But if you don't make that choice then, the only way out at that point is going to the top of it and going up. Now, if you come from this area in particular, you can just choose to go up straight away. Depends if that area is safe or not and you value going that way. But again, that is also where the chance time, one of the chance time spaces are. There's actually 2 on this board. Really nice to see. So you really gotta place your bets. You really gotta you gotta hope here. But it does make that kind of exciting. Not everyone, you're not safe in nighttime just because you end up in this area. And plus, if you're in that area, don't forget, there are dual spaces littered here, right? If you're taking the quick path, there's only 1 dual space. But if you're taking the bottom path, 1, 2, 3 separate dual spaces to avoid. In just a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 space lineup, 3 of those are duels. You have a 30% chance if you're coming from this area to land on dual spaces. That's insane. That's bonkers. But fuck, is it not funny, dude? That's funny shit. And again, because stars are limited on this board, because you only have so many, duels are more valuable than ever. You're going to be dueling all the time, and you're going to love it. This is dueler's paradise. If you love duel minigames, you're going to play this board. Whoops. There you go. You're going to play this board a shit ton. Now, some people don't like the mechanic of stealing stars with, like, the chain chomp things and prefer, like, you know, actual star spaces. That being said, like, I do too, generally speaking. But this has grown on me over the years more. I would never play this when I was younger, but this is way more enticing now, especially now that I know people who play Mario Party more like I do. This is more interesting, especially with the amount of duels and chance times and everything else. This can get feisty. This shit is feisty. The only thing I'll say about this board is it's not good at doing long games. 50 turn games can be like really drawn out. Like this is like a 20, 30 turn board at most. Even 30's kind of pushing it. Like 20 turns is usually enough. 30 is good if you want like a little bit of that extra duel like nonsense. 50, again, because you're only limited on the stars that you start with, it can be a little much. It's not always the best for the long games, but you know, for the shorter rounds, like the 20 to 30 turn games, this shit can slap pretty hard. It can go up there with some of the best. I do recommend it. Now, let's go over some of the happening spaces real quick, because there are a few. Now, because I don't play this board a lot, I'm going to have to refer to my wonderful wiki for this. But there is also only a couple. There's not a lot of happening on this board, which means getting... now, it doesn't mean that the happening star doesn't happen or is like a low-stakes game, because, again, that middle circle is like a prime area for like escaping. 3 happenings down here and 1 up here. People are landing on happenings still all the time. It's just usually the ones in the center. And the ones in the center is the one that matters the most, right? All right, so let's see if I can get the... Now, I want to see if I can bring up... Oh, wait. I just Googled it, right? So, Snowflake Lake, Mario Party 6. All right, so let's see here. Oh, okay. Here we go. All right, we got it. Okay, so the first set of happening spaces are these ones up here. These happening spaces actually very similar to the Blizzard event in Mario Party 3 in Chilly Waters. It will send a big snowball, and it will get any players along the path. Now, I do believe you can dodge it. And it will take you to this path, it will roll down, and then it'll spit you right here back at the start. Which, by the way, is a safe space. Chain Chomps can't get you when you are here. But, if you are paired with multiple people, and you both land there, and it's the last 5 turns, that's automatic duel. So, keep that in mind, but it is a good safety space if you need, like, a quick out and can't get to here. So, good thing to know. Now, when it comes to the other happening spaces there, I believe they're all the same. Oh, okay. Actually, I did not know that. Okay, I believe it's slightly... okay, there's a slight difference here. Let me see here. We're just gonna zoom in on this real quick. Aha! This is very important. This happens very rarely in the game. But you'll see the happening spaces actually change during the day. There's only 2 in the center area. There's not the additional 2 on the bottom area. Those are blue spaces in the daytime. So, once again, because those spaces change, do not put character spaces there. Typically not worth it, only for traps. But again, you're probably not trapping in this area unless it's for, like, coins. So, generally speaking, it's like, you'll have less chance of happening in the center, but most of the time, because it's the daytime, most people are taking other paths anyway, so it's not that big a deal. The big difference here... there we go. The big difference is the day and night changes the event. In daytime, Brighton will send down coins for you to skate and grab. At nighttime, it puts all the players in the pit, and you throw snowballs at each other to knock coins out of each other and steal their coins. Both fun minigames, good little instances of coins. Can get all fucky, especially the nighttime one, and it's more likely you'll get the nighttime one because of the additional bits, but very funny either way. Let's see here. And that's it for the happenings, basically. The only other things is, like, orb placements, again. Generally speaking, like, before Chain Chomp, like, things is always a good place to, like, either put, like, a Thwomp or a Klepto or money stealing, you know, to stop people from using these things. And then filling that, like, center area with, and the surrounding, like, junctions with character spaces is good to, like, stop people who are, like, looking for a way out, or a different path. Like, haha, you own that now. Hee. But that's about it overall. And, like, generally speaking, again, there are some orb spaces like here. There's one here on the outside, one here on the outside. Most of them are on the outside path. The only one that's on the inside is from this ice path here, which also doesn't connect to the main area. It just goes right back to here. This is like, this is a very rare path. Don't put anything in here typically. I don't put any character orbs in here because barely anyone ever takes that path. Because again, you're skipping this. No, typically not. But overall, this is a fun board. I like this board a lot. If you want something a little bit different than the standard Mario play, this is a fun gimmick, and I like how this board does it in particular. When I go over 7's version of this, because 7 does have a version very similar to this board, that'll be really fun to go over. But generally speaking, it's like they both have their own flavor, but I might prefer this one. It's been a while since I've played it, but there's a lot of good stuff here. If you're a duel fan, if you really love duel games, yeah, this is going to be the board for you. If you want to do duels with your friends, play this board in particular. You'll have a good time. Trust me on that. So, let's take Snowflake. Good time all around. Give it a shot sometime. If you like duels, that's your board, baby. Alright, 2 boards left. Castaway Bay. Now, this is a fan favorite, and for good goddamn reason. Castaway Bay is one of the best linear boards that you will ever play because it still gives you choice. Let's go into those choices. By the way, sorry if this looks, more blurry than the other maps. I couldn't find a fucking, high def quality version of the map. I don't know why. I'm not going to worry about it. I'm not dealing with it. Okay? Good. Now, let's look at this board. Again, we have 1 star space once again on a linear path that will bring you back to the start, but this is where Bowser and DK really shine in this game because there is still Bowser and DK spaces, but very similar to Mario's Rainbow Castle in Mario Party 1, star space swaps between DK and Bowser every time somebody goes to them. Not even just if you can afford it or not. Just going to them will switch them. And there are also events to swap them manually as well. Bam. Bam. Is it just those 2? Felt like there was a third. I believe this one activates it. Yeah. But hitting those will immediately also swap Bowser and DK's positions. DK lets you buy a star. Bowser will take a star on this one. It's not just coins. He'll fucking take your stars on this board. It is fucking hilarious, and it is really nerve-wracking. But the thing that puts this board above many other linear boards, especially Mario's Rainbow Castle, is the amount of choices that you have with these intersections. You still have so much that you can do here. There's a lot more thought on this board than you think. Okay? Leading off right away, right from the start, you immediately have a big choice. Do you go take a shorter path for a free orb, or do you take a slightly longer path for the chance to pay for an orb of your choosing? Both valuable, both very valuable, just depending on what you're looking for. But immediately just on that offset, great thing. And again, these 2 spaces in particular, great character space orbs, or spaces to put character orbs for. Definitely take those up. Now, they are after the star, so they aren't as ideal, but everyone will be going through here. And same with this path right here. This is probably your best spot for orb spaces. You want them here more than anywhere else, because everyone will go through there no matter what. Here and here are definite places to get those character spaces on. Fill those up first. After that, fill up around the star area. Fill up near that end, right? The short path is a great place to fill up and really scare people, but even the long path can decentivize somebody from trying to buy some time before if Bowser's at the main area, right? If you want to not go to Bowser and you want to take that long path, hey, all of a sudden losing half your money from a piranha plant doesn't sound so good, or from a zap, cash zap orb, or zap orb, or whatever it is. Not bad option. Not bad option. And again, most other areas are pretty safe to put character spaces as well, but definitely prioritize those sections in particular. Those are your best bets. Now, let's keep going over events and junctions. We went over the switching of them. And what's the other thing? Oh, yeah, I forgot. I was thinking of what the nighttime, daytime difference is. It's actually very straightforward. Nighttime, daytime differences are actually just Boo again on this board. Boo does show up on this top path here, only at nighttime. The other thing is this event down here changes from day to night. Now, this event is so rare. I never see it, and I never remember what it is. Let me see quick. Let's see. Oh yeah, here we go. Okay. Functions depend on the time of day. That's what it is. That's what it is. Okay. Now I got it. Okay. So, daytime and nighttime. Very different. Daytime one, you pray to the mushroom gods. They either give you items, they give you coins, or he might just give you nothing. Sorry, it's what it is. Nighttime is always the same, though. If you land on it on nighttime, paratroopers show up, they grab you, bring you back. Or no, they swap places with everyone. So you have a guaranteed event with that at night, which can be really good if you know you're going to land on that and Bowser's there and you don't want to fucking deal with it. Hey, at least it's not your fucking problem anymore. Only for somebody else to, like, swap it, change it to DK, they get the star, and you still get fucked anyway. But that's part of the fun. That's part of the fun. So, yeah, good event there. There is also one other event right over here. It's a Yukiki one. It's just about getting as many coins that fall from the sky as possible. He also drops spiny eggs that will hurt you. But just an easy way to get money. Now, because of that, there aren't a lot of happenings on this board, right? This. So you have 5, 6 happening spaces. Happening star is a absolute battle for people to get. Now, again, this one's on the main path, so this one gets picked pretty often. And lots of people love to switch the stars, so like people go out of their way to do it. So it can still be pretty close in terms of happening, but because there are less, good to keep an eye out, keep a track of that happening star. You want to make sure you get that. That being said, there are still other events, or I should say other event. There is one more, and that's this right here. If you take that top path, you have the option to take a raft down the water, and it will spit you out right here. Lovely. Except on occasion, when DK is the star space, which is most of the time why you would take this path anyway, Bowser doesn't like that you're doing that, and he shoots cannons at you. Most of the time they do nothing, but occasionally the cannons do hit you, and I believe you just get sent back to start. I might be wrong. It might still send you here, but make you lose money. Let me double check that, just so I'm 100% clear on that either way. Let's see here. If they hit, they lose 5 coins and their turn ends. Oh, okay. Yeah, so it makes you just lose 5 coins. Not that bad. Not that bad. It's generally worth it to take that path if you can. Why not, right? If you're going that way, unless Boo's here, in which case stealing stars on this board is pretty valuable since star counts are pretty low with the whole losing stars and buying stars concept that these two have. Just saying. Just saying. But again, at the very least, if you're not using this item store, you do have this one that is, again, on the main path. Unless you're taking, like, the shortcut, like, raft to get to here, you will, like, 100% get to this item store no matter what. So it is nice to know that you will have at least one item shop to access. But again, a lot of the routes, like the choices between them, it's like raft and Boo, free orb and a shorter path. That's nice. Going down this way, delaying the inevitable with a couple happenings in a DK or Bowser space, or short path to get right into it. But again, both paths also end on a switch the thing space, so neither path is ever 100% safe. But that's kind of it on this board. There's not much else to say. It's not like it's overly complicated, but there is a great amount of choice that you have in the directions that you choose. And the action that you take matter a lot when it comes to switching the things around, moving other players around. This is a bomb-ass board. This board fucking rocks. I can't recommend this board enough. And in fact, I believe this board to be the personal crowning golden achievement of Mario Party 6. That's a top tier board right there. If you're playing Mario Party 6, Castaway Bay is your best bet for a grand old time. You play that board, you fucking rock that shit, baby. That shit slaps hard. All right, ladies and gentlemen, brings us to the final one. We are here. Did I draw that? Did I do that? I must have did that. I don't remember doing that. Oh, Yosajoji. How's it go? Let's see. All right, there you go. Now we're good. Now it's cleared up. You made it for the last board section. It's a go. We have the final board of Mario Party 6 to go over. Clockwork Tower, which is also one that doesn't get seen a whole lot. This is a board that you have to unlock, I believe, in the story mode. So I find a lot of players haven't played this board. And to be fair, I also haven't played this board a lot because the mechanic is a little wonky. I find this board a little wonky. It can be fun. This board can definitely be fun. I think I need to play it again myself as well. Persona is weird, dude. I know. Persona weird as shit, dude. Is what it is, weird shit. That's why we love it. So, here's the thing with this board. The mechanic of this board is very simple. The star space does move on this board, and I mean that literally. During the daytime, the star space is actually DK, and DK will pick a random spot on the board, spawn there, and every turn he will roll a dice after all the players. So the star space is constantly moving away. But if DK runs into you, it still activates the star space, so you can still buy stars. Because I believe you still have to pay DK. I'm pretty sure you have to pay DK still. Clockwork Tower. Mario Party. Oh, Clockwork Castle. Yeah, giving out stars to players that get to him when he gets them. Once a player gets DK, he'll change. Oh wait. Wait a minute. No, you had to pay for the star. I'm sure you do. This doesn't say you do, but I'm positive you have to fucking buy a star. Hold on. Clockwork Castle. Party 6. This isn't fucking YouTube, son of a bitch. I searched that on Google without fucking... I'm an idiot. All right, let's see. I just want to open up a random game. All right, let's go to speed. Let's crank that fucker up. Because I do just want to see about if it chart. Okay, yeah, it is 20 coins. Thank God. I was like, there's no way it's not. It'd be fucked if that wasn't the case. I was like, I don't think he just gives stars away. That'd be fucking strange as hell. Okay, I'm glad I double checked. So yeah, you still have to pay 20 coins. Whether DK reaches you or you reach DK, 20 coins, you get a star. Yippee. Also, as soon as a star is bought from DK, DK goes see ya and fucking goes somewhere else on the board. Now, you'll notice here on the board, the direction of the board is very important. When you start the game, you go clockwise around the board. Right? But you'll also notice, like when you're going clockwise, this path not available to you. That is intentional because when nighttime comes, everyone's direction flips on the board, and you go the other way. And DK is no longer DK. It's Bowser. And just like on Castaway Bay, Bowser will either steal your money or he will steal your goddamn star. So, you don't want to be near DK near the end of the day cycle. If you're not buying a star from him, get the fuck away as fast as you can, because Bowser's immediately coming after you. And Bowser and DK both have the tendency to potentially eat, like, DK will eat a banana and Bowser will just get mad and spit fire. But they'll basically double their movement by rolling 2 dice. They almost do, I swear they do it like every fucking turn or every other turn. They do it so goddamn often. But it makes it very dangerous. So it does add that little extra thrill. I find this this board does give off kind of that Castaway Bay energy, but by being like more open instead of a single path. But it does make planning on this board a little difficult because there's no real best option or like strategy that you can kind of go with. You kind of are going with the flow the entirety of the match. There's not a lot of planning, like putting down character spaces, you know, what orbs you're going to put where, stuff like that. Like, a lot of that doesn't really matter that much. Like, the only ones I I would say is around, like, the pipes, which I'll explain in a minute, or, like, the actual, like, item shops. The main circle's probably, like, a good call to, like, put stuff in, but even then, like, when you're here in the day, like, you only have this to start off with. Going night, you could choose which way to go, but again, there's always that level of choice. And same like in the day, you have the choice of up or down here. So there's no real like super ideal like location to put anything other than in front of certain events. And again, because Bowser and DK can stop anywhere, like character spaces can get just destroyed from them just potentially landing on the space of the character thing. So, you know, this is a good board. I think this board, it's a unique gimmick and it's still a fun board. But it's a very go with the flow board. There's not a whole lot of like happenings to experience on this board. Like, there's not a whole lot of things. Now there are obviously happening spaces and different mechanics to play around with. So let's look at those first before we finish this off, right? So the main other mechanic on this board are the pipes that you'll see. There are 3 sets of pipes along the board, 2 different colors, and then 2 blocked off, right? Obviously the colors connect, and there's always 1 set of pipes that are unavailable to you. But these colors constantly are changing on the board. I believe most of the happening spaces change the pipes specifically and what order that they're in. But you'll always have like 1 of each color on each side. So it's not like you're going to get like green, red. Like, you're always going to have like 3 colors on each end. So they are like more for traveling from end to end. Which is still good. That's a very valuable thing to have. Although I do kind of wish that you could have like any combination of them, because it'd be really funny if you're just like panicked to like get anywhere, but these 2 are just like fucking not there, and you're just like, well, I'm about to get butt fucked by Bowser. This ain't great for me at all. But you kind of just have to deal with it. It is what it is. Now, when it comes to, let's see, there is actually a couple really interesting happening spaces on this board that I wanted to point out. They're just like very rare, so it's really, you don't get to see them very often because of the way the board is laid out. Yeah, so the ones on the bottom of the map change the color. It's like that changes color, that changes color. Pretty straightforward. Let's see. Okay. Very easy one. Twyla's ship. Yeah, Twyla. I think that's their name. This one right here. Basically, this is just like get an orb space or you get fucked. You basically like fish for an orb in the clouds, and you either get an orb or you pull up a bomb and it blows you up and you lose some money. Is what it is. I find Twyla's the fucking gambler of the two. You always get some fucking bullshit when it comes to them. Oh, sorry. That's the happening that does that. Sorry, it's right here that occurs. I forgot because there's two happening spaces. These I believe are more connected. We'll get to that again. Going back into here, let's see. Okay, yeah, that's a pretty straightforward one. This one spawns a UFO that just takes you back to start. Again, I find Brighton typically does that kind of shit. Very much on them. This one's more straightforward. Changes from day to night. Landing on that, we'll just switch it. If you want to fuck with a friend, that's a good way to do it. And then I believe the other two are more interesting. So, yeah, if a player lands on the one in front of Brighton's temple during the day, or Twyla's airship in the night, both of them will appear in their respective homes and make two treasure chests appear. One has a star and the other has coins. So, that's basically it. So, you can only activate, and that's what makes these ones so rare. You can only activate these in the respective time of day. Now, the benefit is because the way that the board is laid out, when you're in the daytime, you choose to go that direction, which is good. Whereas in the nighttime, same deal. You go this way, you can choose to go see them. I still find the event to be fairly rare. I don't see it happen too often. But again, I haven't played this game or this board a whole lot either. So I could be misremembering it because it's been so long since I played it. But again, this is a solid board with an interesting mechanic. I just find that it's a very, again, this is a go with the flow board, right? There's not a whole lot, like there's a lot of like fun little things that can happen on this board, and especially when you're just like trying to get to DK or running away from Bowser, the tension can be fucking hilarious. And it's not a high scoring like game because of that. Which isn't necessarily a bad thing. Having a close game is always a valuable thing to keep tensions up and to keep players engaged. I'm trying to find my goddamn mouse. But overall, Clockwork Castle is a very interesting board, and I like the gimmick for it. And I would generally say it's a good time all around. I would probably pick it now, probably more than Snowflake, if I'm feeling less like I want to do duels. If I'm playing with higher skilled players, I would probably play Snowflake. If I'm playing with lower skilled players, then I'll probably play Clockwork. Just because of the difference in terms of like, you know, if I'm playing Snowflake, I'm doing duels, I'm stealing all your shit, get fucked. But this is a lot more fair and a lot more go with the flow, which could be a lot better for most people. But that's basically it for Mario Party 6. Overall, they have a great selection of boards. There's only one I would say is like an absolute peak board. Castaway Bay is unbelievably fantastic. But like Egad's Garage, Treetop, Towering Treetop, Clockwork, Snowflake, those are all fantastic. And even Fair Square, even though I did put that one in that's a board category, it's still a fun time. You can still have fun on that board. It's just like you have to be with the right people and the right mindset for it, specifically for it to be like at its best. It has super highs and super lows, so it's good to like really gauge that in particular. But overall, Mario Party 6, great fucking game. I love Mario Party 6. It is always up there as a top contender for me when it comes to Mario Party games. And again, I switch all the time, whether 3 is my favorite or 6 is my favorite. Like, 3 is so nostalgic for me, so it usually wins. But, like, 6 has so much great board design, fantastic mini games. The items are great. I love the orb system. I think it's fantastic in this game. I think 7 does it a slightly bit better. But we'll get to why I like 6 more than 7 when we get to that one. But overall, I love this game to death. These are some great boards. And I will see you guys next time when we talk about Mario Party 7's boards and what makes that game both one of the best Mario Parties and one of the worst Mario Parties. So I hope you all have a great time. Have a good night. I will see you guys here tomorrow for Mario 64 with Cobalt Puppy. Bye-bye.